Hey everybody, Jim Yort here. If I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, I don't care what other people think about me, I would have at least several $100s. It's worn as a sort of badge of honor, and it kind of bugs me for a couple reasons. For one thing, I usually just don't believe the person when they tell me this, because invariably this is someone who's reasonably well put together. They aren't wearing torn clothing. If they spilled ketchup on their shirt, they would wipe it off. If they had spinach stuck in their teeth, they would take it out. And this, just that they could walk down the street among perfect strangers and feel okay. And for another reason, not caring what anyone else thinks about us isn't exactly what we should be striving for as social beings. That's an antisocial belief system. It's moving us toward being sociopaths when we don't have any sort of external reference point in society for ourselves. Now, look, I think that I understand what people are trying to say sometimes when they say that they don't care what people think about them. It's something like, I don't want to let people's opinions of me hold me back from pursuing my dreams, or their opinions to make me feel bad about myself. And that's good. It's just that this concept of not caring what anyone thinks might be oversimplifying things a bit. So if you're like most people, then you probably have a number of relationships of varying degrees of intimacy. So people who are closer to you are people that you care about more, maybe respect more, maybe grant more access to the details of your life to, and their opinion of you probably carries more weight than people who are further afield. And there's a mechanism for the way we sort of navigate all these influences, and it's something called impression management. So impression management is the way that we curate the image of ourselves that we project to other people in a way that sort of optimizes it, that cleans it up a bit, that makes it more likely that we will be liked and accepted by other people and accepted into groups. There's an evolutionary basis for this, because the more likely it is that we're accepted by others, the greater our chances for survival because of safety in numbers, etc. So it's perfectly natural that humans engage in this process of impression management. The downside of impression management is that when we're taking in other people's impressions, it's all too easy to forget that we're watching a carefully crafted fiction. And I don't say fiction because other people's impressions are false necessarily, just that they're incomplete. And then we compare those impressions, those images, to the full story of our own life that we know inside and out, warts and all the skeletons in the closet. We know where all the bodies are buried in our life. And we compare this to this idealized impression that we're receiving from someone else, and all too often come away with a negative judgment about ourselves. This isn't anything new. In the old days, before technology and social media, they used to have this term, keeping up with the Joneses. So maybe your neighbor pulled in with a new car, or their lawn was really well manicured, or their house was painted, and all of a sudden you felt compelled to go get a new car too, paint your house, fix up your lawn. And it was sort of this arms race. It was an impression management race of keeping up with each other's impressions, all the while not knowing anything at all maybe about what's going on behind closed doors at the Jones house, and for all you know, maybe not wanting to be anything like the Joneses, let alone keeping up with them. Nowadays, with social media, this is all the more in our face. If you use social media, then on your Instagram or Facebook feed, you probably have people who seem to have a charmed life. It's one image or one post after another of some exotic destination that they went to on vacation, or some adventure that they had, or some fun in the sun that they had with friends and family, some fabulous meal that they had, etc. It can seem like these people never experience a cloudy day. Literally or figuratively. It's interesting, they've done research around the effect of social media usage, and what they find is that it has sort of a dual nature. When you're passively using social media, so you're just flipping through your feed, taking in other people's impressions, that type of use tends to be correlated with feelings of envy and depression. Versus if you're actively using social media, so you're posting comments or you're posting your own images, your own impressions, then that use tends to be correlated with feelings of connectedness and well-being, because you are cultivating connection with other people and maybe fluffing your feathers a little bit while you're at it. So in light of all this, today I wanted to leave you with a few quick tips for navigating your social world, both online and offline, in a way that can help keep you feeling good about yourself and others and benefiting from social connection while avoiding as many of the risks as possible. Number one is that it's okay to care what people think about you within reason. So one way to assess this is to ask yourself, are the things that people might judge me for things that matter to me? Are they consistent with my goals, with my values, with my long-term well-being? So for instance, if you value good hygiene and looking well kept, then it's probably okay if other people's perceptions of you in that regard matter to you, right? Because their reflections can help maybe keep you on track and help you feel good about yourself for having met your own expectations. But what about another example? Let's say that you are afraid of speaking your mind in public for fear of being ridiculed or negatively judged by other people. Well, if you realize that feeling free to voice your opinion and feeling that your opinion matters, and then acting on that is something that is consistent with you feeling more authentic and expressive and happier in the long run, then that fear of being judged, of that negative feedback from people, is actually holding you back. It's stifling you and might reflect some kind of unresolved issue around self-worth or being seen that might benefit from some work. So at the end of the day, let your own goals, values, and long-term well-being be the yardstick that you use in determining whether to care what people think about you in any given situation. Number two is that it's okay to be choosy about what you share with other people, and you do have a choice in this. So what I mean is that if you want to present an image of yourself as the world traveler or the person that is lounging by the pool and having fun all the time, and you choose to keep private those other times, the times when you're lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, feeling worried, feeling alone in a room full of strangers, feeling insecure in your social life or your career or whatever the case may be. If you choose to keep those things private, that's your prerogative, and it's perfectly fine and perfectly natural to curate your impression that way, as we discussed. At the same time, in today's culture, at least in the US, I think that people are valuing reality and behind-the-scenes glimpses, if you will, even more. Nowadays, celebrities are coming forth regularly with their stories of the sexual harassment that they've experienced, or their struggles with addiction, or with mental health problems, or even just appearing in a magazine without makeup. And they're being celebrated for this, and I think rightfully so. It can be a breath of fresh air. It can be gratifying for people to be granted a more intimate level of access than they might otherwise have been worthy of in the past. And the person granting access to that deeper inner circle also benefits because they get to receive positive regard, positive feedback for more of themselves than just that little subset that they had curated as their impression, their image before. And that kind of regard as more of a whole person can feel even better than being more selective about what you let people have access to. So you have a spectrum of selectiveness available to you with respect to what you share and don't share with other people. So I encourage you to wisely and consciously explore what's best for you in any given situation. Number 3 is something that I think is worth reminding yourself of on a regular basis, which is that no one has a life free from worry or difficulty. It's true that some people have to worry about meeting their basic needs more than others, but even people who are wealthy or who travel all the time or who have 20,000 followers or 2 million followers all still have challenges. We all do. They just show up differently for each of us. Whatever level you're at or rise to or fall to, your challenges will meet you there. The people I see in my coaching practice and in workshops, by and large, look fine from the outside looking in. They look successful and like they're functioning fine, but on the inside, it's a totally different story. These are people that often feel burned out or stuck or unfulfilled or still reeling from some setback of some kind. Or they lie there at night staring at the ceiling. So I encourage you to take other people's impressions as sort of a form of entertainment, not unlike a TV show. These idealized images are kind of like a TV show in that when the show is done taping, the actors go home and they've got laundry to do and bills to pay, and they go to the bathroom just like you do. Beyond just realizing that other people struggle in the same way you do, don't overlook the beauty and meaning and purpose that you can derive from those struggles of yours and your sharing of those with other people if you choose to do so. So that's what I'd like to leave you with today. I hope that you found this video helpful and that it served you. If it did, please click like and share it with friends and family. Also, please go visit my website at jimyort.com, where you can find more videos, podcasts, articles, and some good free downloads that can help move you along on your journey of personal development and thriving from the inside out. So until next time, thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon.